There was a lawsuit not too long ago by an artist that was like hired to your label that was dismissed.
Twice.
What did you learn going through that?
Never work with women.
Oh, come on.
There's truth in every joke. But it's a sad truth. Like, I will never be alone in a room with a woman that I work with, like ever again.
Why?
It's too risky. That case was dismissed twice in two different states. And there's hardly no mention of it online. When that case was brought up, it was on every single blog, every single front page. And I lost so many brand deals, relationships off of a story that was not even slightly believable. She said I sacrificed a goat in a sexual ritual. All people read was the headline, right? And that's all it takes to lose everything. That's a crazy concept. I lost millions of dollars off of an arbitrary story that some woman told.
And I'll be honest, Jason Derulo is not alone. I tell people one of the fastest growing businesses in America for women is making false allegations. See, there's three ways historically that women have survived throughout history. The first way is through marriage. You marry a man, and then if something happens to him, his assets are passed down to you, or it's just his duty to take care of you. That comes along with being married. The second way is to have children by a man. Then he's forced to work to support you and the children. And typically women get to just stay home. They don't have to do labor. They don't have to work. And that's how they've pretty much survived for the most part throughout history. But now men have kind of smartened up. Men use protection, and men are starting to vet women more before we marry them. And unfortunately, the prettier she is, the more skeletons are in her closet. Once you go through her Facebook, her Instagram, you go back 3 or 4 years, you see all the different abortions, all the different boyfriends, all the different wild nights in Cabo, all the time she was on a boat. We know what it costs for a woman to get on a yacht. We understand the exchange, how it works. We understand the arrangements. We know that men aren't just giving you free liquor, paying for bottles, and letting you stay at their sections for fun. You're not at these Airbnbs every night pretending that you're in the lap of luxury and being flown to different cities just so that, you and a guy can give each other high fives and handshakes. So once we look through these women's history, we don't want to marry them. And if we can, unless it's on accident, we don't want to get them pregnant. So what are these women to do once we're kind of dating a little bit? We go through their history. We find out that there's some stuff that we're embarrassed if we would ever to call this person our wife, and we leave them alone. Well, then what else are they going to do to survive? And that's where it comes in, the false accusations of abuse, whether it's physical, whether it's sexual, whether it's mental, whether it's verbal. And depending on the man's career, any type of allegation can cause him to lose millions. So that's why a lot of people settle with these women. You'll be surprised how many women you'll find out are getting 6,000 to 7,000 a month, maybe 10,000 a month from 5 different men. 5 different accusations against 5 different men. They never go to court. They don't go to the police. They have their lawyer contact his lawyer, and his lawyer has a story from a woman. Now, and the woman is saying, look, this lawyer is saying, look, my client wants to go to the police, but, she doesn't want to ruin his career, but she's saying this and this happened at his house. If it's just you and her alone and you don't have video cameras in there, it's your word versus her word. And say you're an athlete, say you're a performer like Mr. Derulo here, and you have somebody that's going to go on the media tour. The media loves drama. If you're a man, if you're a black man, especially, you're a soft target because people are going to believe anything someone says about you. Come on, this woman said while they were having sex, he sacrificed a goat, but she has no pictures, no video, and we're in 2025, 2024 when all this happened. The case was dismissed twice in two different states. She filed twice. She found lawyers in two different jurisdictions to file the same case, dismissed two different times. I remember when this case first came out, it was everywhere, and nobody wanted to be associated with Jason Derulo anymore. The crazy part is when the case got dismissed, it was complete media silence. No one had anything to say. No one apologized. No one said, hey, let's try to get these brands back going. You don't believe me? Look at Jonathan Majors. We saw this woman attacking him, chasing him. He loses his job as Kane the Conqueror in the Marvel universe because a woman lied on him, and only to later recant her story and drop the charges. This is what I mean by a soft target. Now, different races of men. Now, this is what makes black men particularly a target. It's because, unfortunately, black people have this layer of evil to them, meaning that they hate other black people that have more money than them. It's something that they're born into. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no way to talk about it, to figure it out. It is what it is. They've always been like that. Jealousy and envy, that's how they take each other down every day. That's why the best thing for you to do is to stay far away from them as possible. Jason Derulo, he doesn't necessarily deal with a lot of black people. He's not a hip hop artist, rapper. He's not a part of the culture. But it was black Twitter and black people on the internet that when they seen his name and his face with this fake case, they're the ones that blew it up. They put it on the black blogs, the black sites, all the black media. And because a lot of his girlfriends are not black girls, they went extra hard to shame him and try to basically destroy his career. That's just something that comes along with it. Now, other races of people don't pile on men from their same background. If this was a white man that was being accused, you wouldn't see 150,000 white women on Twitter cancel him. He has to get fired. They're not going to do that. Asians don't do that. Hispanics don't do that. It's a purely black thing. So Mr. Derulo felt their wrath. But when he was cleared and exonerated, no one had a word to say. No one even apologized for literally trying to destroy this poor guy's life. And it's a shame, but it happens. These lawsuits, these false accusations can cost you millions. But the problem is if people find out that they can just lie on you and after you break up with them and you can still give them money, they're going to do it. I mean, the latest trend for women is to be able to live like a married woman without the husband. So there's women that give you tutorials about how to get a man to fall in love with you just so that you can be with him for a certain amount of time. And then you pull the rug from underneath them, divorce them, and then you get basically a monthly income from him so you can maintain your lifestyle without being with him. So you're in love, but she's in business. You have to understand who you're dealing with. And a lot of us men are so traditional. We think we're going to meet a woman, get married, have kids, go to work, take care of a family, grow old and die and stay together forever. That's not the world we live in anymore. Unfortunately, that's American culture. But America's culture has been replaced by black culture. Black culture is anti-family, anti-children, anti-marriage, anti husbands and wives, anti everything. So the women are behaving the same way as the women that a lot of these men are flying out of the country now to avoid. So that's why we have passport bros. That's why we have passport bros. Men are flying to Colombia, men are flying to Thailand, the Philippines, and we're finding wives elsewhere because these American women are cooked. They've literally found a way to monetize robbing men who are in love with them. And they do it for a living, and they do it by lying. Again, me personally, I always have a girlfriend. I always have a live-in girlfriend. And I date, but I'm never alone with women. You can go back through my history 10, 15 years. I'm never alone with women. There's girls who have been dealing with me for 5, 10 years. And they'll think about it. They'll say, you know what? Every time I've ever slept with him, another girl was there. It's never been just me and him. It's because, like Jason Derulo, I trust nobody. I don't trust anybody to be alone with them. Because somebody can wake up the next morning and say, what happened? And you're like, what do you mean, what happened? Oh, well, did we do anything? And you're like, wait, what are you talking about? So that's why you have to make sure you have videos, you have other people with you. You don't ever mess with anybody that's drunk or drinking or inebriated ever. You know how many times there's been women that were like, oh, let me come home with you. And then we're walking to the car and I'm noticing she's stumbling. I've stopped them right in their path and said, do me a favor, wait right here. I'll be right back. I call her an Uber and I sneak out and go through another way and take another way to my car. I don't even want you riding in the car with me. I've seen the results. The extortion is real. People will literally lie on you for money. And that's why you can't tell them, oh yeah, this is my house. Tell them it's an Airbnb. I just rent it all the time. Never make anybody think you have money. If people think you have money, you become a viable target. Jason Derulo, this is a woman that he trusted. I think she was one of his artists. And she made up all these stories about him, hoping for a payday. The case got dismissed, but look how much money he lost. And his career has never been the same. Now, had he taken my advice and had other women with him while they were together, well, now it's just not my word versus your word. It's your word versus our word. This girl's a witness. She'll tell the police everything that happened that night. None of the stuff you're saying is true. But unfortunately, just like Jason Derulo, just like Chris Brown, just like these athletes and these other rappers, if you're alone with a woman and things go left and you guys get into an argument and you kick her out your house, she can call the police and say anything happened. I remember one time a girl broke into my house when I lived in Michigan. Beautiful chick too, bad chick. She was in law school. I met her through a friend of mine. I was living in Michigan on business. And we messed around a couple of times, but after 2 times, I'm done. I smacked twice and that's it. I've already, that's it. It's good meeting you. But anyway, she wasn't taking a loss like that. Because I remember when she first came to my house, she's like walking around like, this is where you live? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like looking around like, oh, I can put the pictures here. I can do this with this room. Oh, my mom can have this room. And I'm like, I'm noticing, she's peeping the house and I'm like, whatever. So, but she's really good looking. So, we messed around that night. Then we went out again. Another night, went to a great dinner, messed around again. And at the time, I was trying to be honest and open. So I was like, I kind of like girls who like girls. She was completely against ever messing with other girls. Well, since I do like girls, I don't ever want to I'm not a cheater. So since we're not going to be able to mess with girls together, then me and you got to just break up because I don't want any drama. So I kind of just ghosted her, just left her alone. I didn't want to argue about it. You let me know you're not into that. Okay, cool. All of a sudden, she's calling me for a couple of weeks. I'm not answering any of her calls or texts, whatever, because I'm busy. I'm busy dating other women. So one night I'm in Pontiac. I meet a girl. Me and her go back to my house. So I'm taking this chick home the next morning, and my phone is ringing from an unknown number. So I answer it. It's the girl who the chick I ghosted. And she's like, "Where are you at?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not home. I'm out of town right now. Why?" And she's like, "Oh, you're not home?" And I'm like, "No." And she hangs up. And I was like, okay, whatever. So anyway, I drop old girl off and I'm driving back to my house. And I lived in this huge subdivision and I could see my driveway from like 2 miles away. And I noticed there was a reflection in my driveway. And I'm like, what is that? It was a car windshield. The chick had drove all the way from Ann Arbor, Michigan to where I live, like 2 hours away, and popped up at my house. I get there, she's not in her car. She's in my house. And she knew how to break in because I had locked myself out one time and we were drunk. And she saw that I had like a little secret way to get in through my garage. She went in my house. I go in, I'm looking for her, I can't find her. And then I'm thinking, wait a minute, she's downstairs in my office. I go downstairs and here she is typing away on my laptop. And I was like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. You can't be here. Like, why are you here in my house? You broke in. And she says, well, I'll leave when I'm done. And I'm like, done doing what? Why are you on my computer? Your overnight bag and your computer, I seen it by the front door when I was looking around. Why are you here? I look over her shoulder. She has my email up and she's like sending group messages to everybody in my email list, talking about me. There's one girl that I had met at a restaurant sent me some breast pictures. She sent those pictures to everyone that I work with, family. I mean, just, she had been there on my computer for a good half hour, maybe. So I reach over her shoulder and I press the power button. She jumps up, punched me in my face so hard. And this is when I used to live in Michigan. And I busted my lip and was literally trying to manhandle me. Now I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is crazy. I was not expecting to get attacked by this woman in my own house. So anyway, she knocks me to the ground and she's like digging her nails into my forearms. And she was a tall girl, but I'm like, wait a minute, how am I letting this woman? She was just strong as hell. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. Maybe I was just hungover, but anyway, I end up like bench pressing her off me and rolling over and pushing her off me. And I'm like, what the hell? But I'm like, my forearms are like bleeding, my lips bleeding. And I run upstairs. I don't know why. She, instead of chasing me immediately, she goes back into my computer room in my office. I get upstairs. I forgot to tell you guys this also. I had just bought a new camera. I had my camera. Something just told me just to record everything. I was recording everything with my camera the whole time. So from when she knocked me to the ground until I ran upstairs, her overnight bag was in front of my door. So I opened the door, threw her overnight bag in the front, and there was a closet right there. So I jumped in the closet to hide. About 30 seconds later, she comes upstairs looking for me to fight some more. We want to sleep together twice. She wants to fight some more. She's looking for me, but she sees her front door open and her overnight bag and her purse are outside. She thinks I went outside to run away. She goes outside looking for me. I jump out of the closet and I lock the door. She comes back and she has her knuckles balled up, and I had like a stained glass window, and she's like punching it, trying to get back into the house. But I locked her out. Her purse is out there, her car keys, her computer, everything. And I got this all on video. So she finally leaves my house, but her car was still outside. Do you know she went to my neighbor's house? Now, while she's at my neighbor's house, I decided to call the police because I was like, you know what? What do you do to stop someone from coming back to your house who's uninvited? I didn't know what to do. So I called the police and I was like, look, I don't want to snitch on anybody. I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble. But what do I do if I want to stop someone from coming back to my house? And the police were like, they were like, if you think we can put up a force field around your house, you're mistaken. We can do a restraint. We can do like an order of protection. or a restraining order, but the judge has to grant it, but the person can still break it and come back to your house, but you just have to call us. I was like, Jesus Christ. So at the time, I'm thinking, I thought a restraining order had more force. And they were like, no, it doesn't. So I was like, well, look, I don't want to press charges on anybody. Just never mind. So I get off the phone. I go to try to clean up. My lips busted and my arms are all scratched up. My face is scratched. And then I get a knock at the door and I'm thinking it's old girl. But no, it's the local police department in, what was the name of this city? Oxford Township, Michigan. And they knocked on my door and I was like, yeah, hey, I called you guys, but I didn't want to file charges. They were like, well, yeah, we're not here for, because you called us. And I was like, well, then why are you here? And he was like, do you mind if we come in? So I said, yeah, sure. So they came in the house and he's looking around and he's like, so this is your house? I was like, yeah. He was like, is that your car outside? I was like, yeah. He was like, my friend, you're a target. And I was like, what do you mean, sir? He was like, there's 2 reasons I'm not putting you in handcuffs right now. And I'm shocked when he says, I'm like, why would I be in handcuffs? What do you mean? He was like, well, there's 2 things. There's 2 reasons I'm not going to put you in handcuffs right now. He was like, first things first, you called us first. I was like, what do you mean first? I was like, who else called you? I'm the victim here. She ran to my neighbor's house and called the police. She has a cell phone and everything. She went over to my neighbor's house to embarrass me because she had met my neighbor one night. We had seen my neighbor. And she went over there and it took her a little bit. She called the police right after me. And he was like, and the second reason I'm not putting you in handcuffs. He said, because my friend, if there was a fight, buddy, you got the short end of the stick. And she was like really, really fair skinned. She's like, I guess she's like African-American or something, but she was like lighter than a white person, like extremely fair skinned. And I had said, you know what, officer, I have a video of everything that happened if you don't mind taking a look at it. And I gave him the camera and then I walked away to the kitchen to get some water. And anyway, the cops showed the other cop the video, and you could see where this person's like trying to break back into the house, punching the glass window. So so he was like, okay, well, let's go outside. So we go outside and there she is, and she's celebrating, screaming, get him, get his ass. I'm like, I'm a young business owner. I own all these houses. I'm out here in Michigan by myself. I'm not from here. And you want to see me burn? You want to see me lose everything because I don't want to date you anymore? You want to watch me lose my whole life and put me in prison because you're jealous? Because I don't want you anymore, so you want to see me go to prison? And the police walked over to her and they asked her to put her hands behind her back. I've never seen anybody scream that loud. She was filled with so much jubilee until they went over there and told her, please put your hands behind your back. Please put your hands behind your back. This woman had lied to the police and said, not only did I attack her, but I attempted to rape her. And I was like, at 12:30 in the afternoon? I've always believed rape takes place in alleys and, on Batman movies where it's dark and there's like a sewer and there's water dripping and stuff. I'm like, who does this in the daytime? Literally made up an entire story, a lie. And luckily, I videotaped and had everything on camera. Luckily. Or I'd probably still be in jail to this day. Well, I wouldn't if I was Somalian. They would have let me go. But I'm not Somalian, so I would have still been in jail. So that's why I tell people, and think about it. I would have went to jail. She would have sued me. She would have won because it would have been my word versus her word. But she had no injuries. I was the one that was all scratched up and bleeding and punched up. But it doesn't matter. Before a judge, once she turns on those waterworks, I would have been cooked. And it's crazy. My friend who I met her through, he had called me and he was like, please, Rico, please don't file. Don't press charges, this and this. And I said to him, I said, bro, if the shoe was on the other foot and she would have told you that I did something to her and she would have been lying on me, but you don't know, would you have called her and told her not to press charges or go into court against me? No, you wouldn't. And I let everybody think I was going to go to court, but when the court date came, I didn't even show up or whatever. So she was only in jail for a couple of months, but I didn't go all the way with it. But I probably should have, because she would have went all the way against me if the shoe was on the other foot. I say this to say, women lying on men is the new source of income. It's the new hustle, but they have to pick their men wisely. Lying on a guy who's low level, it's not going to really get you anywhere, but it happens. As men, it doesn't matter how much money you have or don't have sometimes. Like Brian Banks, for example, he didn't have any money, but he was about to go to the NFL. And the girl made up a lie about him, and he went to prison for 5 years. She sued the school, even though it didn't happen on campus, but he was a student, sued the school. They got like $3 or $4 million. And then later she confessed that it was all fake and that, she didn't want to give back the money. So that's why she didn't want to tell the truth until he got out of jail. It's not just, but it happens every day. Jason Derulo is just another victim. Men have to be smarter. So you know what we do now? We just have passports. We don't date American women. We don't, if we're doing business, we don't go anywhere alone with American women. We don't ride in cars alone with American women. We don't even want to get on an elevator with an American woman. I don't want to be anywhere by myself with an American woman ever, because they are programmed to lie and to make up stories about you so they can sue you or so that they can get you arrested so they can get money from you. That's it. Because you won't marry her and you won't get her pregnant. So there's no other choice. How else is she going to get your resources from you? All the benefits of being with you. How can she keep all those benefits if she's not married to you and she doesn't have your kids and you guys break up? What is she supposed to go back to the bottom, back to living with her mom, back to sleeping in a little 1-bedroom, little studio after she's living in your big ass house with you? Of course she's not. She's going to lie, and other women around her are going to coach her on what to say. You got to be careful. Jason Derulo, it could have been worse. He could have got a criminal record out of somebody lying on him. He got very, very lucky. The case was dismissed. People saw through it, but a lot of men aren't that lucky. Like I said, there are women right now that I've known women back in California. They got several men who they've accused of crimes, and they're getting $4,000 or $5,000 a month from each one from their lawyers. So that's $20,000 a month. And guess what she's doing? Pretending that she's an entrepreneur and a business owner. No, you just go around looking for men who have resources and you make false allegations against them and you have your lawyer contact their lawyer. And it's the new legal way of doing extortion. We have to be smarter than this going forward. We have to be better. And I'm just glad that this man made it out alive. Some men, they get accused of stuff they didn't do and they commit suicide. So I'm glad that he fought the good fight and he made it through it. Yeah, you lost some money, but you can always make it back. You weren't convicted of anything, and these brands will eventually return to you. You can keep doing music. So good luck to him. Like and subscribe, share the video. Let me know if you've ever seen anything like this or if you've had any experiences. I want to hear about them. This is this is very important. This is just the country we live in now. This is a part of being an American, is avoiding American women. So remember, America first, America only. I'll be back on live in about 20 minutes. Thank you.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.